we get started, as we wait for Coach McGraw to join us, the sports information contact for Notre Dame is Chris Masters. If you could also take a minute to check your cell phones and make sure that they are turned off during the during the news conference. Also, flash photography and video recording are not permitted, and the locker room will be open during the duration of the time that the student athletes and the head coach are up on the podium. Additionally, if you could please raise your hand and identify yourself and your affiliation prior to asking a question, we will bring you a microphone.
I'll forgo the opening statement.
It's just they go right into questions today. Yeah, does that work? Okay, 15 minutes. All right, and we will open it up and begin with the press conference for the Notre Dame women's basketball team. We are joined at the podium by head coach Muffet McGraw. Again, if you would please just raise your hand and identify your name and your affiliation prior to asking a question. And we will open it up for questions at this time.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. Obviously, we played Stanford in this round last year. What are the differences you see in their team this year versus maybe this time a year ago?
Well, I think both teams lost really good players. With Jewel Lloyd on our side, Amber Orange, Bonnie Samuelson really shot it well against us last year. So I think they're a young team, very talented. Erica McCall, I think, probably really improved more than anyone on their team. She's really playing great basketball right now.
It's Lily Thompson for Stanford. Seems to be heating up. You all really held her in check last year. Just what you see from her on film this season.
I'm not sure if we held her in check. I think she got into foul trouble last year. She's the key to their team. I think she's the emotional leader. She is somebody that can really drive the ball well. I'm coming off a huge win over South Dakota State with the late game drive. She can shoot the three. She can put it on the floor. I mean, she's really a difficult matchup for us.
Graham Hayes, ESPN. I'm just curious, with two Pac-12 teams here and four in the Sweet 16, what you've seen from that West Coast talent pool now compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago, and is it harder to get those kids to come east now?
Yeah, I think that the Pac-12 had a great year. I think they were not as highly regarded in the past. I think they've always played good basketball, and now they've really kind of stepped up a level. They were number one, I think, in the RPI. So I think for us, recruiting-wise, we try to recruit nationally, but it is getting a lot more difficult to get kids off the West Coast. They can play closer to home, stay in the Pac-12, and it's great basketball. So I think it's definitely changing.
Lindsay Allen's had two really different types of games for you in this tournament so far. What do y'all want from her in terms of scoring, distributing? Because it seemed, I mean, first game, I don't know if she really didn't do much scoring, did a lot of other stuff, and then second round, she got 20-something for you.
I think the thing that makes her the best point guard in the country is that she takes advantage of what the defense gives her, and she does whatever we need her to do on that particular day. You're absolutely right. In the first game, she had 8 assists at halftime, did not attempt a shot, ended with 11 assists, 1 for 2 from the field. In the second game, needed her to score, goes 10 for 13 from the field, and still had 7 assists. So she does whatever we need, and she has just a great sense of this is what the defense is giving us today, and that's what I'm going to take advantage of.
When you lost Jewel after last season, and Taya Reimer left during the season, at that point in time, how certain were you of what you had with this team and where it could go?
I think there were a lot of questions early on, especially it was going to depend on the development of our freshmen. We felt like statistically we lost 20 points a game, we lost rebounding, we lost the big shot maker in Jewel, and so we had to hope that our freshmen were able to fill in. But what surprised me, I think, was Madison Cable. She stepped up and really took over the big shot part of the game. She made big plays at both ends of the floor, and Enrique and Marina really came along quickly, and they were fearless and confident and were able to come in and give us the statistically give us the scoring that we missed with Jules. So I think we made great strides. Hannah Huffman has played a lot more minutes without Taya, and she has played extremely well. So I think it's great for this senior class. Really has had a lot more of an opportunity to play, and they've really embraced it.
Bob Nagel, WHPZ Radio. Coach, could you talk about Brianna Turner in respect to the fact that she missed 6 games? A lot of questions early in the season, as you said, but not only do you count on her, but she delivers every game.
Well, when she went down, we almost saw the season vanish in front of our eyes. We were so happy she was able to come back because during that stretch, I think we played 4 or 5 ranked teams, and without her in the lineup defensively, we gave up a lot of points. She just gives us so many things on both ends of the floor. Somebody that can score, she can run the floor, she helps us defensively. She's a great presence in the lane. She has really improved this year as the season has gone on. She's become a much better face-up player, much better passer. It's just so important to our team, and I think probably in the last maybe 8 to 10 games, she's really gotten a lot more aggressive offensively and is looking for the ball more.
Coach, could you talk about Hannah Huffman and the fact that, came in as a freshman and was playing the post at 5'9", and then really developed her game, but it's got to be a special game for her against a West Coast team like Stanford, and when she's really contributing, playing her best basketball right now.
She gives us such energy off the bench. She's another player who does whatever we need her to do. She comes in for defense, rebounding. She's gotten so many huge offensive rebounds in the ACC tournament, 18 rebounds in 3 games coming off the bench. So she does a lot of the little things that don't show up on the stat sheet. She gives us the hustle points and the energy.
Coach, Notre Dame's shooting almost 50% for the entire season. What's enabled you to be so efficient offensively?
I think our shot selection is very good. I think we're really smart offensively. We know who's going to take the shots, what shots they're going to take, and I think we've shot the ball really well from the three-point line this year.
With where the women's game is at right now, are you comfortable with a number 1 seed playing a Sweet 16 game and an Elite 8 game possibly, I guess, on another team's home court?
I think that's probably a good question for Washington. We were trying to focus on Stanford. But I will say that when we played the regional in South Bend on our home court, it was a tremendous advantage. We beat Baylor, and having that home court, the electricity of the crowd really, really helped us.
Coach, along those same lines, the city of Lexington's known as a basketball city. Can you talk a little bit about the host city and playing in historic Rupp Arena?
Well, we've had a player from Lexington, so we know a little bit about Kentucky basketball, and we've got one coming in next year from the area. So we think basketball is big in Indiana and is equally big in Kentucky. The Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Game has always been a lot of fun for everybody in the state. So we know it's great basketball here. We know the fans embrace basketball, especially women's basketball, and we're excited to see the crowd.
Any other questions for our head coach? If not, then this concludes the press conference. Thank you very much, and we will begin the press conference for the student athletes in just a few minutes. Yeah, about 5 minutes before the student athletes will be here. They're finishing up with other interviews, and then they'll join us shortly. The student athletes are on their way to the press conference. Again, if you could also just please make sure that you identify your name and affiliation for the student athletes as well, just so that they know who you are as you're asking questions. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for the press conference for the Notre Dame women's basketball team. We're joined at the podium by student athletes Lindsay Allen and Hannah Huffman. Again, if you could please raise your hand, identify your name, affiliation, and who the question is directed at, and we will open it up for questions.
Just for Lindsay, what do you remember about last year's game with Stanford? I know you had a big performance, and I was just wondering what you remember about that game and how they look on film now versus a year ago.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of two different teams in this new year. I think we're a different team from last year, and so are they. But I think we did a great job kind of sticking to our game plan well. We kind of figured out what they were doing on ball screens, and then we got our shots that we worked on in practice. And so I think this game, it's mostly kind of worrying about Erica McCall, their great post, and making sure that we focused, try to get the ball to Bree, who's really great. She's averaging a great percentage in there, and they're going to try to focus in on Bree, so just making sure the guards are ready to shoot the ball and just making sure we're sharing the ball.
Just to both of you in general, how do you feel about the way y'all have played the first couple rounds of the tournament and what you need to improve on heading into regional play now?
I think the first 2 rounds we kind of got out our tournament jitters. So I think that in the last game we kind of struggled with doing some of the things that we originally practiced. I know that we were trying to get into certain areas in the zone. We do a good job of that. So I think that this next round we're going to focus on what we did in practice and translating that to the game. So we can have to do a better job of that. But I'm pleased with the fact that we got through the first 2 rounds, and I think that we're in a pretty good place right now.
Bob Nagel, WHPZ Radio. Lindsay, you're 1 assist away from having a phenomenal number of 200 on the season going into tomorrow's game. With so many options, when you've got the ball, like, you've had games, the last game you had 22, the game before that you had 1 point, but you had 10 assists. When you've got the ball and you've got so many options, are there times in the game when you're looking for a certain player? Do you try to control maybe who's going to get the ball, who's going to get a touch at a certain time?
Yeah, I think I do. I think it's mostly whoever has a mismatch at that moment, or whoever just has a hot hand at that time in the game. But we just kind of go through our offense, and it's just really whoever's open, whoever makes the right read. And I think we do a good job of sharing the ball, and we're really unselfish. So just mostly about whoever's open, whoever has the best shot.
And I got to ask you about how important defense has been for Notre Dame during the course of the season. Some of the big wins that we've had have a lot to do with defense as much as offense. Talk about that mindset going into tournament time. I mean, you've had some outstanding efforts defensively for the Irish, and that's going to be important.
Yeah, I think that especially down when you really need to seal out a game, being focused in and dialed in on defense is really important. I think the biggest thing about defense is effort and your mentality, and I think that when we decide to really lock down the defensive end and understand the matchups and understand personnel, we're a really, really hard team to score against. So I think we've done a really great job of that this year, and it's definitely going to be important moving forward.
Ladies, I know Notre Dame's shooting almost 50% for the entire season. What's enabled you to be so efficient offensively?
Lindsay Allen is probably the number one thing. I think that Lindsay does a really good job of organizing the offense, and I think that our offense allows for a lot of people to do a lot of different things and operate well in their different niche. So I think that Lindsay does a good job of organizing that, and people do a really good job of fulfilling their roles on the offensive end.
Yeah, what Hannah said, kind of, I guess. I don't know. But I think we're just a really smart team, and we're always willing to give up a good shot for an even better shot. And I think everyone on this team knows their roles and knows what they bring to this team. And so we're just really smart and we're really unselfish.
Bob Nagel, WHPZ Radio. Hannah, I got to ask you about being from the West Coast, being from California. Grew up maybe, hour, 45 minutes away from Stanford. Any special thoughts about the Cardinals growing up and going into this game?
Yeah, I definitely went through my fair share of Stanford games growing up. They're about 40 minutes from me, so they're kind of the big powerhouse on the West Coast. So I would definitely go into their games, and my best friend played on the team last year. So definitely have grown up liking Stanford and appreciating how incredible they've been and how successful they've been over the last couple of years. And so yeah, it's kind of nice to see some West Coast representation between them and Washington, but at the end of the day, it's just another team and a game that we got to win, so I'm looking forward to it.
Any other questions for our student athletes? If not, then ladies, you can be dismissed. Thank you very much. This concludes the press conference. You follow the rules. I like you.